Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, welcome to our Energies and Opportunities broadcast for the month of June. We're broadcasting today on May 25th, and we'll be together for an hour. We're delighted today to share with you a look at the upcoming planetary energies and the human design energies. And we're going to look at, of course, at this last week of May and then the entire month of June through both systems. So sit back, relax, take notes if you like. It's going to be a really busy month. We'll be sharing with you all the significant twists and turns and this highly volatile energies of this really remarkable time. If you're new to our community, we want to welcome you. And if you haven't already, we want to invite you to check us out on our Facebook page, our Instagram, and our YouTube channel for Evolutionary Human Design. Subscribe to follow us and get tips, stay abreast of the current happenings in Evolutionary Human Design, and get to know us so you stay in the loop. And Chetan, you're producing a YouTube series that's
roughly every 5 days. We're following the sun as it goes through the sky around us and goes through the 64 hexagrams in the I Ching. So we do a little 30-minute broadcast or a little podcast every 5 days on the progress. And it's a fascinating thing watching the currents change. And at the moment, the sun is going through all the gateways in the throat center in the human design chart. So a lot of time for communication. Carola's going to remark about, Gemini, a lot of communicating going on there. And that's what's happening at the moment. So definitely worth tuning in and getting into that.
Okay, yes. So let's take a look now at this exciting time we're in at the midway point of this year of light speed innovation and global awakening.
Boy, did we get that title right.
Isn't it though? Okay. So let's see, Chetan, could I invite you to just begin to give us a bit of what's going on human design wise?
Yeah.
At this time, we're looking at the last week of May first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you probably realized there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And, you can look at the political scene, you can look at the war scene, you can look at the stock market scene, you can look at the crypto scene. All kinds of crazy things are happening at the moment. So the light speed innovation is taking place. And the whole thing for us always is to be able to maintain a balance while everything is transforming quite so quickly.
Yes.
So I'm just going to start looking back a couple of days, the full moon that we had. You may have realized that there was something pretty dramatic happening in that full moon presence. A lot of things slowed down. A lot of things became very evident, and the full moon took place in that part of the sky that we associate with the 34th hexagram. The 34th hexagram is one of those gateways in the human design chart that's in the sacral center, the sex center, the center of life force energy. There are 9 gateways in that sacral center. 8 of them are sexual by nature. They're all looking to cross-pollinate. 1 is not, and that was where the full moon took place in the 34. It's kind of a neutral space in a way. It's just raw power. And so that's basically what's been on show these last days, and probably will carry, through this cycle of the moon until it renews. But the gateway of power, all of us have to own our power in this lifetime, that we come in as powerful beings. And the full moon was just kind of highlighting that. Can we own it or not? It took place in the 3rd line. So each hexagram has 6 lines. There are 6 different ways in which you can interpret the nature of power as a source of energy. And the 3rd line in which the full moon took place was the line that's called estimating, using power in accordance with prevailing conditions. Right? I think we always know those opportunities that we miss because we don't really commit ourselves properly to them. We kind of miss out. And we know those situations where perhaps we go a little bit overboard on things, we apply too much power to them. And so this full moon is really saying, what's really needed in this moment? How do we really establish ourselves in this moment? How do we play things? Right? Can we find that balance? Can we estimate how much energy that needs to go into something in particular? Or are we likely to go overboard with it? Or, as I say, underplay it? So there's a few other things going on as the merry month of May comes to an end. It's probably been, well, we've had experienced it as a very interesting month, high levels of busyness, especially in these last days, and a lot of things getting accomplished and a lot of things being projected out into the future a little bit. So on this day, the 25th, we have the 20, 34, and the 10 all hooked up together. And we have this whole, what can I call it, the centering circuit and the individual circuitry of integration. So really about pulling things together at this moment in time as we end up the month. And just seeing that there's also, we got this channel, the 2551, this channel of initiation. So a lot of opportunity to really step into our own power, to be able to see that actually, while this, what we call centering circuit is in place, there's a lot of things that can get accomplished. A lot of things that we would say, oh, it's out of my reach, I can't quite get there. We can actually see ourselves doing that. And as the month comes to a close, the sun moves on into gateway number 16. This is the gateway of enthusiasm and skills. It's that ability to see what works and what doesn't work, just glancing at it. We open up the life theme of planning, and all the way into the 2nd of June, we have this channel of 1648, the channel of talent. And so here we are, we've seen how we've been questioning how to use our power, how much power we need to apply to any particular situation, what's really needed in this particular moment. We see then this great opportunity of being very centered and very clear in our busyness, and then recognizing as the month comes to an end, how do I put this forward? Can I draw from my talents? Can I draw from my natural gifts to then put something together as we enter into the month of June? So that's pretty much how I see the month ending up here. What's your perspective?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to go back just 2 days to the 23rd, that full moon that you were talking about. So from the astrological perspective, that full moon happened in Sagittarius, 2 degrees of Sagittarius, opposite the sun, 2 degrees Gemini. But one of the things that's really phenomenal about this is that the sun is also being joined by Jupiter and Venus. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion and growth and new opportunities. Venus, of course, is that planet of love and the things that we most appreciate and bring us pleasure in life, money flow and romance and beauty and art. So we have these very, very positive energies traveling together with the sun. And that's going to go on for quite a bit through the end of May. So from today, from the 25th onward to the end of May, we have some of the most amazing planetary aspects that we can really utilize in many ways. I want to give you a little bit of a kind of backdrop on this. One of the things that's happening with Neptune and Pluto. Now, Neptune and Pluto are outer planets, so although they can affect us personally, they're really about generational kind of influences. And we've got a linking of Neptune and Pluto in what astrologers call a sextile. It's the same aspect that we had back in the late 60s during the flower children generation, during the time of the protest of the Vietnam War, and we women were burning our bras in the city square, and we were declaring our independence. And
there was also the Beatles and the Rolling Stones,
yes,
and the American rock revolutions going on.
That whole
Jimi Hendrix, yes,
a huge explosion of consciousness and awakening. Of course, there was a lot of experimenting with LSD and various other psychotropic substances as well. So there was a big awakening happening, and a lot of civil unrest. Well, we're seeing a bit of a resurgence of the same thing with this aspect happening now, where we've got, college students on the campuses shutting down graduation ceremonies, protesting the war machine. And so, it's a little different in these times, and of course it would be because it's a completely different generation. But essentially what we have with this linking of Pluto, which is pure power, and Neptune, which is high vision, is people speaking the truth out. There's this term, speak truth to power. So there's a revolution going on, and that revolution isn't limiting itself to a political unrest, as you were mentioning. It's across all the sectors. So we have this highly empowering aspect with Pluto. We've got the Jupiter, Sun, Venus in a flowing triangle aspect of Pluto, linking in with Neptune. So getting the high vision, seeing clearly for ourselves what it is that we know to be true, and perhaps coming to a place of being willing to take a stand in that truth. So in this time of really positive growth, a lot of innovation and expansion, don't buy into the fear mongers who are saying, oh, there's artificial intelligence now, it's going to take all of our jobs and ruin the economy. No, no, no. It's going to give us more free time. It's going to give us the opportunity for high level innovation, and perhaps the one opportunity that humanity has to correct some of the things that have been going on for so long that have really affected our environment, as well as our health and well-being. So we are at the precipice of an amazing awakening, a whole global awakening. At this full moon, we've got these glowing positive aspects that are really about finding our empowerment and stepping into that empowerment. Now, there are some remarkable planetary aspects happening in this time here in late May and then through into well past the middle of June. I'm going to go over them with you now, kind of all 5 of them in a row, so you can begin to see the significance. And then I'll touch back in as we go further into the month. So first of all, just following that full moon, we have some of the most significant aspects that are coming together in the last few days of May. We've got, as I spoke about, that Jupiter-Venus conjunction. Jupiter and Venus together are going to exit Taurus and continue traveling together, really tightly together, now in Gemini. They're going to do that for almost another 3 weeks, all the way until about June 18th, 19th. So by the 3rd quarter moon on May 30th, there's also a very unusual lineup of planetary aspects as well, in addition to the Sun conjunct Venus in Gemini, which is this material expansion, along with a lot of highly creative and artistic expression, plus romance really flowing. This is going to be a great time for romance. Then we're going to have Jupiter leaving the sign of Taurus, where it's been for just about a year, and entering the sign of Gemini. So Gemini, the sign of communication. Gemini, Jupiter's about expansion and growth. So whatever Jupiter touches, whatever sign it's going through astrologically, it's going to be expanding and growing our awareness along those lines. It's been working with us on our values for the last year and our financial well-being. Now it's going to work with us on our communication. So we're going to see a big expansion, and this expansion empowered by Jupiter in this triangle aspect with Pluto that I was talking about, Pluto, which is empowerment. So we're going to have financial expansion and empowering energies that for expanding our social impact, our social circles, and all kinds of new communication ideas and way to link ourselves with technology and with other groups of people. In addition to that, we've got Mercury, the planet of communication, in a tight conjunction right together with Uranus, the planet of awakening, both of them in Taurus, making a really strong conjunction May 30th, May 31st, and June 1st. Again, here's new innovation, future-oriented, rule-breaking new communication systems getting birthed. In addition to that, we also have the planet Mars, which is the planet of the work that we do in our world, our sense of drive to make a living in life, conjoining Chiron, which is the planet that has to do with linking our higher self and our lower self. So essentially, this conjunction gives us that opportunity to align our work more so and more so with our higher spiritual truth. So that goes on from May 25th to June 5th. It's about healing and transforming and up-leveling also our beliefs and our approach of delivering our work or taking our work into new and more inspired directions. Then the fifth aspect that I want to talk about, this is just a phenomenal time. I mean, for those of you who know astrology, you've already been, I'm sure, tracking this. So Neptune at the very last degree of Pisces, 29 degrees of Pisces, in a flowing sextile with Pluto and Aquarius, which we talked about. That's this revolution of consciousness. Both of them in a triangle aspect with Jupiter in Gemini now, which is vision. And it's really the vision for the new 21st century living. I mean, we're starting to arrive in the 21st century. It's beginning to take shape. We've got machine learning, this is going to, in the next few years, it's going to be unrecognizable. We've got digital currency that's being adapted at greater and greater speed. Robotic surgery, breakthroughs in medicine, breakthroughs across all industries, genetic engineering, climate control, just to name a few of the really major changes that we're going to see continuing to happen. And they'll be all catalyzed right around the end of May. You were talking about that time. On May 30th, we have that third quarter moon, the third quarter moon bringing and catalyzing all of these changes so that we begin to integrate them into our life in a way that can be meaningful for us. So over to you.
All right. As we enter into the merry month of June, and the brakes are off now. The things are really running. And Carol described certain things that are happening. I'm going to remark on certain channels that show up in the month of June. The 2145 shows up. This is a channel we call the money channel. And it connects between the central willpower, what we want, what holds value for us in life, and the means to express it and draw it to us. So that's going to play quite a part in this month of June. People often ask me, if I've got this money channel in my design by birth, does that mean I'm going to be rich? Not necessarily. What it means is to be comfortable in the material realm. That whole thing of give and take, giving and receiving, that whole thing. So we have that as a large play in the month of June, to be able to let go of something, to be able to receive something else, something like that. Another channel that shows up quite a bit is the channel of 1222. There's a lot of emphasis on this channel this month. 22 is the gateway of grace. And people that have the 22 in their design, naturally, they have a graceful manner about them physically. When we get access to that, and it's the planet Saturn that is in there at the moment in gate 22, and it's like, well, Saturn and grace, how do we equate these two things? And I bring out the word gracious. How do we learn to be thoroughly gracious? When the carpet goes out from underneath our feet, or somebody insults us, or apparently insults us, or somebody comes at us in a way that's aggressive, do we find a reaction, or do we find our grace? And that is something big that plays out that month, in this month. The difficulty of finding grace is that we've all been trained to react. And, this is an opportunity to get over that, to bypass that. Why do we react? Because it's a habit, because it's a fear, because it's a way of protecting ourselves. If I said that Saturn is moving this month into the third line of the 22nd gateway, which is a gateway of a lucky lifetime, it's a moment to recognize how incredibly fortunate we are. And then we're going to get one after the other. We're going to get the moon first, then the sun, then Venus, then Mercury, all going in through the 12th gateway, making this channel, which in many ways it's an emotional channel of being able to move things dramatically. And when I say dramatically, it opens doorways where normally we've just seen a brick wall. Oh, I can't do that. It's impossible. There's no way through that. And somehow the romantic sees the way through. There must be a way through. Otherwise, I wouldn't have that sensation in me. And so what I'm going to say a large part about June is, as these things change so fast in our lives, look for the gateway. Look for that thing that normally, oh, I can't go there, there's no possibility. And just see, yeah, it's possible to see it in this month. It's possible to take on that sense of being really fortunate, to recognize that. Another channel that plays out quite a bit is the 1648, this channel of talent, to realize that all of us have our gifts and talents, and we're getting this little bit of an extra push to be able to bring it out and make it in play. We're all having to change our rule systems this time. We've been describing all these systems that are reinventing themselves. Even the banks have gone into crypto now. They said, oh, poo, this stuff's rubbish. The banks are the middlemen. If you've got blockchain, you don't actually need a bank anymore. So, just to say.
So they don't like the idea too much.
Not too much. So it's just all these things are taking place. And to make a transformation, it's quite clear we have to let go of one thing to embrace another. Yes. So as we get into the month, we start off in the life thing we call consciousness. The sun is in the 35, the gateway of progress. Interesting word, progress. How do we see progress in our life? Is it like I've taken on a new diet, I'm taking more exercise, I'm learning new things about things, I'm having a greater expansive experiences and stuff. So we start out with the first line, and by the time we get to the sixth moon, we've got a new moon, the sixth line of the 35. So we go through all these steps of recognizing, what does progress mean to us in this life? We evolve. The things that used to satisfy us as a kid, all of a sudden they don't do it anymore, unless we maintain that kid-like energy. But by the time you get to the sixth line, it's like, I have to be really selective about those experiences I get involved in now. Been there, done that. I don't need to do it again. Experiences are things that build our sense of fulfillment in life. And so with this new moon in the 35 line 6, it's really saying, time to reevaluate. Do I need to keep on doing the same old stuff in it always? Or is it time to break free? Look at the world in a very different way, because the changes are happening anyhow. The question is, are we going with them or not? Are we spiraling upwards in life, or insisting on just going round and round and round, doing the same repeats? So it's a huge energy around the 6th with this new moon, just saying, look, reevaluate, reacquaint yourself with what it is that really wants to come through. What is going to bring about that sense of progress in life? Dropping the old stuff, being open to the new. Okay.
Speaking of new, we'll have a new moon coming up, June 6th. So I'm going to start a little bit before that, and look at the early, June 1st, 2nd, 3rd, right in there. We still have some of this phenomenal energy that was so powerful right at the last several days of May, going on through the first several days of June. So that while that aspect is happening, we're about to have a new moon on June 6th. That new moon, the sun and moon together, which is what a new moon is, at 16 degrees of Gemini. We were talking about that being in gate 35. The thing that's unusual about this new moon is that it's conjunct together with, not only conjunct, but what astrologers call combust, which means the two planets are not just together, they're exactly lined up in the same degree and within minutes of each other in the zodiac. So it's a phenomena that astrologers look to as an unusual phenomena that really can bring some remarkable energy and some remarkable opportunity. So June 6th for this really powerful new moon. The other thing that's happening at that new moon is that it's in a right angle to Saturn. So Saturn in Pisces, and that right angle, astrologers call it a square, it's a 90-degree angle, is basically, like you were talking about, people, Saturn kind of has a bad reputation because it's about, it's
the rule
about
systems,
duty and responsibility and our karma and facing our karma and stuff like that. So people think it's not quite as entertaining as Jupiter, and perhaps it's not, but it's also what guides us to continue to grow in life, to learn what we need to learn. And as most of us know by now, we learn a lot through our experiences. So this right angle with Saturn is saying to us, look, there's a lot of expansion possible. There's huge growth, all kinds of new ideas dropping, like dropping from the sky, like a meteor shower or something. But despite the fact that there's going to be much enthusiasm for all this expansive indulgence and socializing energy as the sun, now in Gemini is bringing that energy in as well, it's going to be tempered by the right angle from Saturn, just to make sure that the choices that we're making among this big, array of choices that we have are the choices that are really aligned with our values and with our higher truth. And as long as those are the choices we're making, and that takes us back to our human design, how do you find your truth? We each have our own unique way of going into our design, accessing our truth. In human design, it's called authority. I call it our truth. Okay, so, it just keeps going. The opportunity is huge. Now, it might not be quite as fun and fanciful around this new moon, because the new moon sets the new agenda for the remainder of the month until the next new moon. But it is time to take all those new ideas, all those new possibilities, and begin to see, okay, how are we going to relate with them? Blockchain, for instance, the crypto environment you were talking about. I was reading there's only about less than 3% of the world's population who are invested in crypto. So the opportunities there could be really, really huge. Instead of looking at our life like, it's getting more limiting, and the robots are going to take over, and instead of getting into fear about the coming changes, if we lean into the opportunities that it brings, use our clarity, make sure we know how to use our human design authority key, be in our clarity when we make choices. If we're making mutual choices, learn how to do that as a couple or as a business team. Then we'll be in alignment with this phenomenal new growth and this whole new wave of consciousness that is dawning on humanity. And that's going to keep speeding up and speeding up and speeding up. So that's what I have for the new moon.
So moving on a little bit further on into the month, and I remarked on these three aspects that are going to show up quite a bit in the month. And channel talent, Mercury, and the South Node Destiny. The Destiny's path has moved on from where it was for a long time, the 51 and the 57, that kind of giving us the 51 is very much giving us a push to jump into something different, to really change strategies in life. And we're now with the nodes in the North Node is in the 21, the gateway we might describe as control, or the hunter. So very important for us to realize, what is it we're really hunting for in this lifetime? What are our sights set on? And I might just suggest, what we're hunting for is fulfillment in life. To live a very rich and full and fun and amazing and extraordinary, experienceful lifetime. I might suggest that. Along the way, yes, we can gather up all kinds of different situations. We can make a lot of money. We can lose a lot of money. We can have all kinds of friendships and all these things. But ultimately, the goal, I would suggest, is what we're hunting for is to find that fulfillment, that inner contentment, that sense of a life well lived. So that's where the North Node is at the moment. The South Node in the 48. The 48 is, in the I Ching, it's called the well, and the nature of the well is, how do we keep our life fresh? How do we freshen things? What do we do with that? Do we find interesting places? Do we find interesting people? Do we find interesting things to read up on or watch or play with? So that's the bottom part of this, is to be in a state of refreshment at the moment, while we aim our life more and more clearly towards what it is that holds value for us, right? What's worth chasing after. So in this early part of the month, there's quite a few activations. We started off with the moon in the 45, and that's on the 6th, just after this new moon. And then right after that, we have the sun goes into the 45, which is the gateway on the opposite end of the channel from 21. And so we have this whole money channel that I was talking about. And it's just, it's being comfortable in the material world. And as we're, Carol just talking about that 3% of the world's population is in crypto at the moment. I mean, this stuff's happening. It's happening. And, the whole concept of wealth is changing from one source to another. And I'm not saying, rush out there and buy yourself crypto, but I'm saying, for goodness sake, pay attention to it. It's changing. As I said, the blockchain system actually removes middlemen from anything. The blockchain just says this is the transaction that's taken place here. Maybe it's interest free as well. You never know your luck. So that whole thing is changing for us in these early days of this month of June to get really reacquainted with our concept of money, our concept of wealth, our concept of what it is that we put our willpower into, whether we like it or not, whether we have a defined willpower or not in our human design. What do we count as being valuable? And the great thing in the end is, what a number of people have found out about life is that investing is a really good way to go. You make the money once and then you get the money to work for you. So just saying, and that's part of this channel, the 2551, sorry, the channel, the 2145, this money channel. What are we hunting after? We're hunting for fulfillment. How do we accomplish that? Hunting, you have two possibilities. You put on running shoes and chase after whatever you're going for, or you place yourself in a way where the game can come to you and you just catch it. So just saying, this is a great time to look towards investing at this time. And I'm not saying, I'm any board certified anything in this regard. I'm just saying energetically, we're being offered this at the moment. So we go on a little bit with the sun in the 45, we go into this whole theme we call rulership. And rulership is really about taking charge of your life, making sure all your bases are covered, financially as well as spiritually, as well as, the people and situations in your life that you're kind of looking out for them as well. We move on into the life theme we call confrontation. This is on the 11th of June, and it's a fascinating word, confrontation. It's two ways to confront. One is in your face, I'm all upset. Or the other is, a situation came my way and, I have to deal with it. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to confront it. I'm going to play with it. I'm going to see it all the way through. And at this time, as this is taking place, we all of a sudden get access to this channel, the 1222. This channel we call openness in human design. Fascinating channel, honestly. It's a pure manifesting channel. It's purely individual, which basically means it's a pure expression of one's own nature. It's not a comparative thing. Comparison is one of the most deadly things we can do to ourselves, is trying to compare ourselves with somebody else, or just say, somebody's got a better deal than I have, or somebody's got more advantages than I have, rather than just saying, well, what do I need to do in my life to bring myself fulfillment? And this channel of 1222 plays in this realm of opening up these new doorways. Saturn, as I said, is in the 22, and it's really, this is a great time to recognize I'm actually living a charmed life. And Saturn is just endorsing that. All I have to do is play me. I mean, it's a silly concept in a way. It's like we've been given all these suggestions what to do with life. All you got to do is play me, play yourself. That's it. And consider yourself charmed and lucky and going forward in that. The 12th gateway is covered by the sun, it's covered by Mercury, it's covered by Venus as well. These three are all together in this 12th gateway. And the gateway is called Stand Still. Stand still. I beg your pardon, the sun is in the 12. Mercury and Venus, Mercury is in the 12 line 2, Venus is in the 12 line 6. So stand still. Right? What do we need to stand still for? Well, we can carry on the same old, what we've been doing forever, same old pathway, go, go, go. And then all of a sudden, whether we like it or not, Mercury says, hang on a minute, stop. The sun says, wait a minute, have another look at this. Venus says, wait. Do you really want to chase after this stuff? There's another doorway here. There's another opening. There's a possibility. There's an innovation possible here. You can do it on your own time and your own way. All you have to do is look up and say yes. So, here's this thing in the middle of the month of June, from the 13th onwards through the 17th or so, we get this massive opening that's possible. And all we got to do is be me. I mean, how many times in our life have we been shut down? You can't do that. Oh, the rules are against you. No, the whole society hates you if you do that. And what is the society thing? Does it extend beyond the neighbor? Does it extend outside of your family? Anyway, I could get on this soapbox and go on for ages, but we're all being confronted at this time to play ourselves differently, to see the opportunities, to see the openings, to be comfortable in our material world, but not let go of our spirited nature. And that really is it at the moment, is, being at home in both realms at the same time.
Right. And to bring ourselves into interaction and into relationship and into communication. It's, since the 22nd of May, the sun went into the sign of Gemini. So we've been now, as we're getting into the first and second weeks in the middle of June, the sun's been in Gemini for quite some time. And as it's done that, first, we had that new moon that we talked about on June 6th. That sets the new stage for the activities, the people, the possibilities that we're going to be engaging with. Once we get now to closer to the middle of June, on June 13th, we've got a first quarter moon, and that first quarter moon in Virgo forming a right angle with the conjunction of Mercury, the Sun, and Venus, all still in Gemini. So we have this, big energy of innovations and many sectors coming hard and fast with new innovations. And perhaps in our life, we're seeing the same thing, new opportunities, new possibilities, join this program, but what is it that, we need to, as you said, stop. And that's what this first quarter moon is saying, is that, wait a minute, find clarity first. But I'm going to add to that, find your clarity first, but don't miss opportunities, because this innovative energy that we're in right now is calling us to move beyond where we've been in our consciousness and our awareness. Shatan, right now, you're developing, or have developed a whole new program that you're offering to our community. I think it's what we're now promoting. So if those of you want to learn a bit about it, we won't take time here, but you can just open any of our emails and you'll see about it. But it's taking your work to that next level, something you've been working on for years and years and years, and developing this capacity to bring high level alignment and healing at those psychospiritual levels. It's a fabulous program. I have a new program that I'll be launching next year that it has a completely different approach. I'm going to be teaching my method of healing and transforming wounds from the past. So essentially what I'm saying here is that, what we've been guided to is, how can we step up? How can we take all of the wisdom that we've gained and our experience and take it into that next level expression? And that's the kind of thing that we all of you, all of us have the opportunity now to embrace. What is Spirit calling us to? And sometimes it takes a leap, and sometimes it takes confronting ourselves, and that's not comfortable. So we might find, a little bit of this discomfort around this first quarter moon, the pressure to say, are we just, like you were saying, Shatan, going to keep doing the same old thing? Or are we going to step up? Are we going to allow the light to guide us to that next highest pinnacle of expression? And that's what the energies at this time are inviting us to do. It's time now at this first quarter moon to take action on our new creative ideas and ventures, while also continuing to refine our goals and our manner of delivery. So I'm going to, in the interest of time, stop there. There's a lot to cover this month.
So you just reminded me about this new offering I'm making. I'm calling it Karma Clearing, clearing unnecessary roadblocks in a way.
Yeah.
Human design has come across as a great tool, but there's, we've just kind of cracked the surface of it. There's a tip of the iceberg. There's so much in there. And this Karma Clearing that I've been developing, particularly for these last 4 years, and are now offering, it's basically, how sometimes you're going down a road or a freeway or something like that, and there's a lot of space on the road, and then all of a sudden everything grinds to a halt, and there's some accident or some roadworks or something happening, and then everybody has to kind of filter together, come into one lane to get past it, and it takes so much effort and time. It's a little bit like that. All of us have these traumas or roadblocks, whether they're our own roadblocks or other roadblocks from other lifetimes or from ancestral stuff. And the whole thing is, fixing the road again, opening up the space again. That's what this work is of Karma Clearing, is like making it absolutely clear to kind of go through it again and not get caught in that kind of jam anymore. So this month of June is really a great opportunity for that, because a lot of new openings are coming possible. But going on with the month, generally speaking, this channel, the 1222, plays out a lot. It's very romantic. It's about doing the unusual instead of just the straightforward and regular. And it's about seeing the possibility of playing things differently, playing things from our own source. That's really what the energy is all about. On the 19th, the sun moves into gateway number 15, which opens up the vessel of love. That is the life theme of that time. And the 15 is the gateway of love of humanity. It's actually love of life. Love of life in all its shapes and forms. The 15 is common to all living things, potentially, whether we're talking about insects or trees or whales or whoever. And so the 15 kind of gives us that reacquaintance with nature around us. Great time to go out into nature and remind ourselves about that, what goes on there. And the latter part of the 15th hexagram, the 15th and 5th line, we go into this life theme we call prevention, which is about really examining what are the worthwhile things that we engage with in this lifetime and what not. Are we being truthful in ourselves? Are we being in accord in ourselves? In this time, the planet Uranus it started for these next years to go through all the gateways in the throat center in human design. That is all about what Carol is talking about. It's so important to be communicating in this time. And Uranus in the 8, where it is in this time, is this gateway of promoting creativity, if I can put it like that. The I Ching, it's called holding together. It's bringing things together. It's kind of holding things together so that we can go into a creative and constructive future together. And Uranus, has its own very particular way of doing this. It takes us out of a 3-dimensional fixed state into a much more 5th-dimensional quick way through. And so if we're talking transformation, Uranus takes 84 years to go all the way around. So in our lifetime, it's happening this one time. It's going through these gateways in the throat center where we literally can pull apart these roadblocks, open up things in a very, very different way. So great time for quite dramatic transformation in oneself. That's what the energy of that is at this moment in time. As I've said, the North Node is in gateway number 21. The South Node is in gateway number 48. And there comes a time when Jupiter slips into gateway number 16. This is the gateway, the skill of recognizing what's going to work and what's not going to work. Jupiter, when Jupiter applies himself or herself to anything, there's going to be an expansion. There's going to be some kind of shift. If it moves into an area of life, says, we need to change gears a little bit here, we need to change our perspective or things that we're really paying attention to, then it's going to shake those things up. And it goes in there around the 19th of the month, and it completes that interaction. The 1648, this channel of talent, goes through the whole realm of talent. What's worth dealing with, what's worth avoiding, where you put your energy, where you take your energy away from. And it goes on all the way until the middle of July. With this energy, we all have this channel of talent for that time. Jupiter in the South Node destiny. I think it's around the 21st, is it? We have a full moon?
The 21st, yeah.
21st. So we started out the new moon I described as being in the 35 line 6, being very discerning. What are the experiences that I'm going to put my energy into? Because I've done everything else. I've done all the rest. Now it's time for the best. And so by the time we get to the full moon, the sun and opposite, sun is in gate 15. The opposite is gateway number 10. And gateway number 10, it's the middle of December when the sun's in there, but it's the middle of summer when the sun is in the 15. This is like the midsummer night's dream, if you will. So we're having a full moon around the midsummer. And here it is in gateway number 10. 10 is one of my absolute favorite I Ching gates. It's called treading on the tail of the tiger. Everything in Chinese, it's derived from a picture, from an image, and the whole sensation of what goes with the image. So treading on a tail of a tiger, what does that mean? You're going for a little walk through the woods, very enjoying yourself. And then all of a sudden you realize you put your foot on a stripy thing, and the other end of that stripy thing is connected to a big danger or potential challenge in life, right? A tiger. What do you do about it? And the full moon here is the 10 with the 4th line. And the 4th line is kind of cheeky enough to say, well, we're all in this together, so I'm glad I got your attention. Maybe we can do something together. It's the natural gateway and line of opportunity. In the middle of something that looks potentially terrifying, or I've never seen this kind of thing before, it's like, what am I supposed to do? It's like the natural thing is, hey, we can be friends. We can do something together. All right. We can brave the elements. So to me, it's a really fun placement for the full moon, just saying anything's possible. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what a challenge looks like, embrace it. Take it on, see what happens. We've all been persuaded, oh, life's a little bit too much, we can't deal with all the changes and stuff. But here it is, here's a great opportunity in this time. And I dare say it covers for a couple of weeks after that full moon on the 21st, to just be aware, be open to opportunity, to see the unusual. Oh, I couldn't do that. Maybe I can.
It is a phenomenal time as we approach the summer solstice, which happens on June 20th. What happens at that point is the sun leaves the sign of Gemini and enters the sign of Cancer. And it's one of the 4 turning points in the year for humanity. So this turning point, the summer solstice, it's a time of, so solstice means the sun standing still.
Over the equator.
Yes.
No, over the north. Capricorn, sorry. Capricorn or Cancer, I never remember which one.
It's Cancer.
The Earth wobbled.
Okay. So anyway, the summer solstice, which in the southern hemisphere, so if you live in Australia, New Zealand, or in the southern hemisphere, it's for you, it's going to be the winter solstice, but nonetheless, it's signified astrologically by the sun moving into 0 degrees of Gemini. What's phenomenal about this summer solstice is not only is it linked to the full moon, but it's also, we were talking about that, the Neptune challenges that we can experience, that we have been experiencing with, taking a look at with all these great ideas that are coming and all these new directions we can go in, not to get confused, not to get overwhelmed, but what is it that really has merit, has value, that you're truly going to move forward with? Well, this summer solstice period of time is really the time to be taking a look at that. So the solstice energy catalyzes that question. What is it that I'm going to eliminate, let go of, no longer endorse, no longer, put my energy into, and what is it that I'm going to actually move forward with?
Out with the old and in with the new.
So that clarity, that clarity coming. Pluto still in this powerful triangle aspect to Jupiter, bringing new expansion, new growth. I didn't mention before, but it's worth mentioning that back at the first quarter moon, we had Mars, the planet of our work in the world, in a right angle with Pluto, saying, all right, if there's anything that isn't working about your work, your profession, your career, your business, this is the time to confront that. What isn't working? Take a look at it and ask yourself the question, what new could happen instead? How could maybe this happen differently? Or am I going to just quit this job, or start a new business, or go into a new field of endeavor, or expand my possibilities? It's a good time, and it continues to be here at the summer solstice, a good time to be not only challenging ourselves to look at what are the changes that we need to implement, but also discovering how to do that with some elegance and grace as Mars moves into really flowing aspects with Mercury and Venus, that's going to be about, so how are we going to communicate this? How are we going to put it in motion? How are we going to sell it or promote it, or put it out there for others? So, such a phenomenal time. The next day after the summer solstice, we have the full moon you were talking about.
Yes.
And that full moon activating gate 10, the full moon at, I think it's 1 degree of Capricorn. That's where it is in gate 10, line 4, right? Opposite the sun at 1 degree Cancer. But here again, it's not just the full moon, it's the full moon, the moon opposite the sun and Venus and Mercury all together in Cancer. And that potential to get the breakthrough, full moon sheds the light. It shows us the way, it illuminates whatever we've been working on or gradually moving towards, building up from the new moon to the first quarter to the full moon brings it potentially into fruition. So what is the new birth that's in your heart and soul? What is the new thing that you most desire to bring forward? What is the new way that you'll step out? What is the new program that you'll enter, or the new healing modality that you'll decide to go through, or whatever that new thing is for you? What is it? And this is the time to make that decision. This is where the rubber meets the road, as they say, to decide to take action, and decisive action. And, all I can say about the aspects of this time with this flowing energy with Jupiter is that the force is with you. The force is with you. The energy of the universe will align along your intentions as long as you're strong and clear in those intentions and willing to step into that next level. Such a phenomenal time. So that's what I have to say around the full moon and solstice. As we move towards, we're going to take a look at a bit more of the end of the month, just for a few minutes. But before we do that, I want to mention that we will be doing our next broadcast on June 22nd, Saturday, June 22nd. So tune in with us then for a closer look at this period of time, this last week in June. But for a quick look at it now, are there things you want to say about that third quarter moon?
Well, yes, just right after that full moon, the sun has been in gateway number 15, the gate that I say touches into all of nature, anything that's living, anything that's got a pulse of any kind. And the full moon taking place in 10, the gateway of 10, be able to not just face a challenge, but actually play within it, to have that confidence that I can handle this one way or another. And, trusting in our nature, trusting in our type and authority to be able to play within that. And right after that, the sun goes into gateway number 52, which is a gateway called mountain, stillness, inner stillness. Those times in your life where there's been a challenge of some sort, and it's like you were questioning, am I going to be able to pull this off? And then sure enough, you do. And then the kind of, the repose that happens afterwards, and just, that was pretty cool. That worked. And so in this time of this literally startling innovation that's taking place in the world, whether we're playing anything to do with the news or not, things are moving fast. In this time, just to realize we wouldn't be here if we weren't able to keep up with it. It's just a case of making the shift every now and again when the call comes. And as the month ends up, we've given this really clear opportunity to see, I can pull this off. I can find this. And realizing, life is something that happens for me. It's not something that's happening against me or to me or anything like that. Life is happening for me. And as long as I adapt that or adopt that in my life, adapt to that possibility that life is always on my side, it's always wanting me to grow, then everything turns out. And sure enough, Carolyn says the force is with you as never before. We have to step up in this time. There are a lot of dinosaurs running around in human form still. It's like they missed the boat or something, or missed the meteorite or something or other happened. But yeah, it's up to us to kind of keep the consciousness rising and look for the new opportunities and take them and go through with them.
Yeah, it's part of the divine comedy, isn't it?
It is indeed, yes.
So as we get towards the latter part of June, the next significant thing that happens astrologically is we'll have a third quarter moon on June 28th. And at that time, the planet Mercury, planet of communication, moves into a beautiful, amazing triangle aspect with Neptune. So we have big vision, we have big inspired vision, because Neptune is our connection to our spirit essence. It's that pathway through which we feel into our divine self. And when Mercury forms that, fabulous linking energy with Neptune, and that goes on not just on the day of the third quarter moon, but several days building up to it, several days after it. Actually, it looks like it's going to go on through into early July as well. We have this big, big vision. But within that big vision and that, new inspiration coming, we have to remember to set achievable goals, to to take a look at, okay, now what reasonably can be accomplished? Think big, have the big vision, work towards the vision, know that the universe is with you, and set achievable goals, go step by step with it. At the same time, with the sun in Cancer and with the aspects that the sun is making while it travels through Cancer, along with Venus, we're asked again to step up with a right angle to Chiron, the planet of healing, to heal any remaining family dynamic kind of pain that we have from our childhood, or ancestral pain, ancestral wounds from way back in the genetic line or from way back in past lives. It's time now to, for those of us who have perhaps been on that path for a long time, time to really get to the core and do the final stages of healing so that we free ourselves from the old ancestral heritage that we brought in with us. And this is what human design is such an amazing tool for, especially as you get into higher frequencies of the gate activations, the higher frequencies of what's possible with healing energy through human design, that we really are able to look at the ancestral patterns, to make them, bring them conscious, and work with transforming and healing them, so that not only do we heal back through the genetic line, back through our ancestors, but we heal up through the genetic line, through our children, or for those of us who've chosen not to have children, through our creative projects. But either way, it's a time of amazing exploration of what the human spirit is truly possible, what's truly possible for us, and what's possible when we come together as a one world community. So we'll leave you with that thought for today, and we'll see you again next month on the 22nd. It's our joy and delight to produce this for you, and we hope it's valuable for you.
We'll see you next time. Have an extraordinary month of June.
Yeah.